Let me begin by quoting Confucius. Confucius once said, to define the future, one must study the past. 58 years ago, 5 nations planted the seeds of ASEAN, united by the common dream of stability and for prosperity. Today, as Malaysia assumes the ASEAN chairmanship and UN Habitat presidency, that dream faces its ultimate stress test. We stand at the convergence of 3 existential challenges. First, the relentless housing dilemma that haunts our urbanizing landscape. With 65% of ASEAN citizens now projected to live in cities by 2045, we are grappling with 3 issues: affordability, accessibility, and sustainability. Affordability crisis, where subsidies strain against market reality. Accessibility, gaps that leave rural and vulnerable communities behind. And sustainability, dilemmas that pit green ambitions against cost constraints. Second, the geo-economic perfect storm, where trade wars, supply chain ruptures, and climate shocks threaten to erase 5 to 10% of our GDP growth, according to World Bank, if we fail to adapt. Third, our demographic destiny, with 90 million more urban citizens from birth rates and rural-urban migration coming by 2030, all needing homes, which is estimated about 10 to 12 million new units annually. Yet, within these challenges lies ASEAN's extraordinary opportunity. Our journey from US dollars 23 billion in 1967 to US dollars 3.8 trillion in 2023 prove ASEAN's unique capacity to transform crises into catalysts as well as opportunities. This is why ASEAN's role today is not just relevant, it is indispensable. We stand as a pivotal moment where real estate is no longer just about buildings, but about building futures, where every citizen, from Kuala Lumpur to rural Cambodia, finds not just shelter, but dignity and opportunity. As we gather here in the beautiful city of Kuala Lumpur, let us begin with a fundamental truth. ASEAN is not just a regional bloc, but a living testament to what 600 million people can achieve together. Before I proceed, let me briefly outline the journey we will take, all of us together here today. First, we will confront the hard truth of geo-economic volatility, the supply chain disruptions, currency fluctuations, and investment shift already reshaping our market in real time. Second, we will also examine the irreversible structural changes, transforming real estate from sustainability mandates to demographic pressures that demand our adaptation, not just reaction. Finally, and most critically, we will explore how ASEAN can respond with unity in diversity, crafting solutions that respect each nation's unique context while leveraging our collective strength. This is also include aligning ASEAN strategies with the UN Habitat New Urban Agenda. To me, today, this is not just a presentation. It is a call to align action. Ladies and gentlemen, real estate is far more than just the buildings we see. It is a bedrock of our economies, spanning commercial, industrial, residential, and public infrastructure development. This sector impacts over 180 upstream and downstream industries, from steel manufacturing and electrical appliances to legal and banking service, real estate agencies, financial services, and household goods. Real estate is both a mirror of economic health and a multiplier for job creation, innovation, as well as investment. When we invest in real estate, we are not just building spaces, we are building economies, we are building communities, and we are building futures together. Without realizing, our industry have been absorbing and navigating the shocks brought about by numerous global conflicts. Crisis in the Middle East, trade tension coming out from unilateral tariff and trade barriers imposition by economic powers, including the most recent Trump tariff policy, have all caused a lot of volatility and unpredictability over the years. Just as the 2008 financial crisis permanently altered global banking, the current geo-economic shift will leave ASEAN property landscape fundamentally transformed. Now, let me walk you through exactly what is already happening across our region and what it actually means for all of us in the property sector. The immediate shocks we are feeling today includes construction material costs are stabilizing, but not without volatility. Global steel market continues to face heightened volatility and structural pressure. Since peaking in July 2021, the volatility of prices for steel products such as rebar and flat steel range around 30%. By October 2024, steel bar prices were 5.6% lower and flat steel prices were 4.6% lower year on year. Although the decline continues, the rate of price fall has slowed. Second, financing realities and the road to recovery. Across ASEAN, mortgage rates have begun to moderate, lifted by the broader global shift towards monetary easing as inflation slowed through 2024. This generally has contributed to improving buyer sentiment and borrowing capacity across key housing markets. Still, we must acknowledge that these economies remain exposed to global and regional uncertainties, particularly the potential for economic slowdowns, even global recessions, and uneven growth recovery trajectories must not be ruled out. Third, our currencies are on a roller coaster. As an example, Malaysian ringgit hit 4.8 to US dollars in April 2024, and now gradually recovering to 4.2 by this time. A weak currency leads to imported materials become more expensive, and a strong currency against US dollars make them cheaper. The uncertainty, however, complicates supply chain planning by altering the price of both imports and exports. And now, let's look at the ripple effects that we may face. Number one, projects are stuck in limbo. As construction is energy intensive and rely heavily on fossil fuels, global oil price fluctuations driven by geopolitical tension will directly affect transportation costs, which in turn impacts development projects' operational costs. For example, the Red Sea crisis has increased shipping costs by 300% last year. Second, market caution persists. Across ASEAN, property sales down by 6% year on year. Price of Vietnam's luxury condo in Ho Chi Minh City fell 8% as inventory piled up, but industrial real estate surged 22% due to manufacturing relocations. In Malaysia, we are fortunate to have a steady growth in the past 2 years, whereby property sales has increased by 18%, which have achieved 230 billion benchmark, which is the highest volumes in a decade. This is supported by political stability, clear policy, and a firm leadership by the Banani government. Third, behavior shift from property to rental markets. A global economic uncertainty may also impact job security of housing potential purchasers and their ability to pay rent, where a more cautious approach towards taking on large and long-term purchase will impact the demand of real estate and also housing. Already see happening is the Singapore's Housing and Development Board HDB, where rental prices have increased by 18% as buyers hesitate to purchase property, causing private home sales to drop 25%. Ladies and gentlemen, I've laid out the impacts of geo-economics and geopolitical turbulence to ASEAN real estate industry and property sector. But it's not the only hurdle to navigate, as we are also adapting to permanent structural transformation, reshaping our industry. Across our region, we are seeing the emergence of what I call the 3 irreversible shift. First, the sustainability imperative, where green features were once premium option. They are now minimum requirement from both regulators and consumer. However, sustainable materials will add 10 to 15% to construction costs. Second, the urbanization paradox. The same economic forces driving people to cities are making those cities increasingly unaffordable. Third, the geopolitical repricing. Global market capital isn't just pausing. It is permanently redistributing funds based on new risk calculations. What this means for us is that we are facing a blended multi-storms. But here is the good news. Firstly, ASEAN's regional cooperation and family spirit give us unique tools to respond. Not to react, but to respond. Second, the same crisis pushing up costs are also driving innovations. In order to survive, we have to adapt quick with new technologies, new innovations. Third, our growing cities represent enormous opportunities for those who adapt. According to World Bank, by 2030, ASEAN is going to be the 4th largest economy in the world, with 685 million dynamic, vibrant populations, which will offer lots of opportunities for investment, trade, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, the question isn't whether ASEAN real estate will change. It is who will lead that change and how quickly we can respond to the 3 new realities as I have mentioned just now. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we explore the ideal regional housing framework, it is essential to acknowledge the diverse context across ASEAN. The socio-economic heterogeneity highlights the need for a flexible and adaptable housing model, one that aligns with our shared aspiration, yet responds effectively to local realities. An ideal ASEAN housing model should go beyond mere infrastructure. It must focus on creating homes that provide shelter, safety, and a sense of belonging. Where rural dwellings or high-rise condominiums, housing solutions should address the various needs of our populations, prioritizing affordability, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. These are the 3 aspects which is the way forward. To materialize this, our approach should be anchored in 3 key principles. Firstly, a data-driven approach. Mapping demand accurately to match the right supply. Our collective goal must be mapping and matching demand with supply, which sounds simple, but requires robust data, strategic planning, and strong execution. Secondly, the 4P principles, public-private people's partnership, where we must encourage collaborative efforts that leverage diverse resources. As Henry Ford once said, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together is success. Thirdly, emphasizing tailored solution, where no one size fits all, but instead regional context-driven strategy. At the federal level in Malaysia, affordable homes are provided through various schemes, including the People's Housing Programs, PPR, People Residency Program, PRR, Rumah Mesra Rakyat, RMR, Prima Housing Program, and SPMB residences. Meanwhile, state governments also offer their housing programs tailored to local needs. Other ASEAN members states examples include Singapore. Singapore has an exemplary well-planned public housing with effective integration of green standards and smart technology to ensure affordable and sustainable housing is accessible to most in their limited land and high-density population. Beyond ASEAN, China's large-scale urban migration policies and promotion of green building standards also offer valuable lessons for us in managing urban growth while balancing social stability and environmental sustainability. By integrating this principle, Malaysia and the ASEAN region can collaboratively develop an ASEAN housing model that not only addresses current needs but also anticipates future growth, fostering shared prosperity and resilient communities across Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a critical issues of balancing affordability, responsibility, and long-term stability. Across ASEAN, a quiet revolution is unfolding, where millennials and the Gen Z are redefining the dreams of home. The traditional emphasis on ownership is shifting towards a more pragmatic acceptance of renting. In Kuala Lumpur, 43% of under 35s now prefer flexible leases over mortgages. Jakarta's young professionals trade suburban deeds for urban co-living spaces near transit hubs. This isn't rejection of stability, but it's a recalibration where affordability meets mobility. That's the reason why all the industry players have to come up with a new idea. If they want to sell their properties, they are also to reverse the trend and to offer a better products at the right price. I have recently attended the 14th Mayor Forum of the World Cities Summit in Vienna, Austria. I learned that 80% of Viennese, they rent in high-quality social housing and mostly prefer commuting through public transportation. But of course, the city has very well-connected housing, administrative and commercial areas, as well as efficient public transportation. In comparison, ASEAN's rental market remains fragmented, often forcing painful trade-off between cost, dignity, and also location. Nonetheless, our region has increasingly considered the expansion of the lease market while keeping the option of ownership open. For instance, I'm taking this moment to proudly share Malaysia's rent-to-own model that offers a bridge to ownership, turning tenants into home owners while ensuring affordability and stability for young families. Inspired by global best practices but tailored to local needs, our RTO programs blend rental flexibility with a clear path to equity. We are happy to share that Malaysia now stands at 77% of home ownership rate, and we aspire to reach 80% by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, as the current President of the UN Habitat Assembly, it reflects Malaysia's steadfast commitment to urban sustainability, including for Southeast Asian region. This leadership role comes with both privilege and responsibility, particularly in ensuring the full implementation of the new urban agenda, which remains our shared blueprint for equitable urban transformation. Adopted in 2016, and next year it will be the 10th anniversary, and reaffirmed by all ASEAN members, the new urban agenda. Core principles which include inclusion, sustainability, and resilience. These are all precisely the tools we need to solve today's housing trilemma. Let me highlight 3 new urban agenda that align with our urgent needs. That is people-centered smart cities, climate-responsive housing, and innovative financing. These are the 3 pillars which require immediate attention, equally immediate action. In short, the new urban agenda isn't about perfect cities. It is about dignified homes for the 90 million urban citizens joining us by 2030 in ASEAN. Let's stop quoting it and start implementing street by street, home by home. So ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN's role is more critical than ever to not only navigate global and regional challenges, but to lead with bold, innovative strategies. Through unified diplomacy, deepened cooperation, and a shared Southeast Asian vision, we will redefine solutions for the complex issues of our time. To accelerate the vision of developing a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable region, I would like to humbly propose that, firstly, for continuity to all the positive discussion and ideals shared in Arec 2025, that the next ASEAN Real Estate Conference can be hosted by the incoming ASEAN Chairman in 2026, which will be in Philippines, to showcase our region's innovative housing solutions and attract global attention as well as investment. Secondly, let's explore establishing a regional housing policy lab that will facilitate a deeper understanding to research housing issues and promote regular exchange of housing knowledge and innovation on housing issues in the region. Thirdly, ASEAN member states can consider a development of an ASEAN New Urban Agenda Progress Dashboard to track affordable housing, delivery, and also carbon reduction. I also encourage ASEAN joint advocacy at the next Housing and Habitat Forum to secure global funding for ASEAN urban project. So ladies and gentlemen, let me return to where we begin. ASEAN legacy is written in turning crisis into catalysts. From the ashes of 1997, we forged the world's most dynamic economies. From the pandemic's disruption, we unleashed digital revolutions. But today, we face our most human challenge. Yet, housing is not about bricks and mortar. It is about dignity, about stability, about a shared future where no ASEAN citizen is left behind. The evidence is undeniable. Proper housing reduces urban poverty by 28% based on UN statistics. And every $1 invested generates $3.50 in economic returns. From Jakarta to Hanoi, Bangkok to Manila, our fates are intertwined. Now, as Malaysia leads both ASEAN and UN Habitat, we stand at a pivotal moment to write our next chapter, where affordable housing becomes our foundation for social stability. Green cities emerge as our competitive advantage, and geo-economic headwinds transform into tailwinds of innovation and opportunities. The blueprint is drawn. The resources are ready. The moment is now. Let this be the era we measure progress not in square meters, but in life uplifted together. Let's build not just structures, but legacies. Home that empower, cities that inspire, and an ASEAN that endures. Thank you. Terima kasih. 谢谢。